Welcome to 60, a podcast from Engine Service Design, where we're sharing what you need to know to reimagine your customer's experience and design delivery. Now on the show, we share insights, tools and strategies to help you design and deliver win-win experiences, ones that are valuable to your customers as well as your business. My name's Oliver King, and I'm a co-founder and a managing partner at Engine. Now, in today's episode, we're going to continue the theme of customer experience for aviation, which we've been talking about in the last 2 or 3 episodes. And over the years, we've been really lucky to work alongside customer experience leads and teams in some of the highest performing airlines and airports across the world, helping them to fix, reimagine or transform their customers' experiences. Now indeed, just recently, we're really proud of this, one of our clients, Helsinki Airport, was ranked one of the top 5 airports in the world and the best airport in Europe. Today, I'm joined by Natasha Roberts, one of our senior consultants at Engine, because we wanted to talk about something really crucial in airports from a customer experience perspective, and that's the people. But not passengers. We want to talk about the people that work on the front line, the people that are serving the passengers. Tash, love it having you on the show.
Thanks, Ollie. I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool. So the part that people play is helping to orchestrate and deliver the passenger experience has changed enormously over the years, I should imagine, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course. Airports used to be very staff dependent, and every time you'd interact with a frontline employee, from checking in with a paper ticket, handing your bags over to someone at the counter, getting your boarding pass checked before security, and then at security, you get that lovely manual pat down.
I remember that. God, back in the good old days. And now things have really shifted, haven't they, towards digital with, there's like advanced online check-in, there are these self-service kiosks, bag drops, e-gates before security. And then even at security, one of the most important touch points, now you have the full body scanners. You got to go in and this thing spins around you. I mean, it's incredible. But
yeah, exactly.
This shift is going to... It's weird, isn't it? And this shift is going to continue. I mean, we've discussed in previous episodes that technologies like biometrics and passive scanning are really going to streamline the journey from curb to gate. But what does it mean for, like all the people that used to kind of give you this pat down, what does it mean for security staff in the future if all this tech is there?
So I think security is a really good example because that technology has evolved quite dramatically, and we've seen that. And we've also seen the roles of staff changing as well. So those staff used to be very serious, very hands-on, but now as that technology's evolved, it's become more sensitive. We can even see AI being used to identify threats and any suspicious behavior. That role's really changing. And so
Tasha, so AI is being used to identify threats. So what, like it's looking out at people who are queuing and it's trying to work out odd behavior?
So if you combine kind of cameras and sensors and AI, the idea is that the AI can then start to see someone, palms are sweaty, they're acting suspiciously, looking around, and then that can then set off the flag for then a human, for example, to then monitor that behavior and oversee that technology.
Okay.
But
so their role's changing. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say that role of looking at behavior isn't just going to be kind of focused or dependent on AI. That's also going to be the role of those security staff. So rather than looking through your bags or looking at the screens, it's more to heavily focus on that behavioral element, but also the ability to manage any of those exceptions. So when an alarm goes off or someone's acting suspiciously, it's to manage those situations, but manage them with respect, sensitivity, consideration, something that technology and AI really can't replicate or can't yet, not that I've seen. And so it's that role of people to give that kind of cultural awareness and the ability to just think on their feet.
It's that human touch. It's building that relationship, because there are all sorts of things that are going on. There are people who are traveling through the airport for the very, very first time who are nervous or whatever, and need that support.
Exactly.
And that can only be done by people. Okay, so like outside of security, like in customer support and helplines, what's kind of going on there? Is there a lot of change?
Yeah, and I think we've seen that across kind of all industries, and aviation's no exception. More people are comfortable using digital channels, whether that be social media, video calls, live chats, and even chatbots. And they tend to deliver that more on-demand and instant kind of, I want it now, that support that people are looking for. But more importantly, those channels tend to be multilingual and more visual, which is much better for accessibility. And also they allow for people's individual preferences to inform the kind of support that people receive, whether it be the kind of type of support that they receive or even the frequency. So how often they receive comms or an update, for example.
Yeah, because it's interesting. You remind me of, we were speaking on the last episode, and there's some incredible technology out there. I think it's some airports in Japan where they have robots that customers can interact with, but in any language, and also there can be sign language in that as well, which seems absolutely incredible. And yes, the way that all this personal technology that we carry with us, the way that that's sort of interfacing with the airport is amazing. But you said something about the way that the type or the frequency of support that passengers could receive could vary. What did you mean by that?
So I think it's all around the kind of platform that support's delivered on, and also the frequency and the kind of level of personalization. So for example, if we have a frequent traveler, they might set their updates for a push notification, and by exception, for example, when there's a change in their itinerary or gate or there's a delay, because those people really know the process inside out. They don't want to be kind of inundated with updates that they know and just don't want to be bothered by. So we can use their preferences to adjust that communication. Whereas, for example, if you've got another airport persona, like a traditionalist or a first-time traveler, they might want more frequent updates, more hand-holding throughout that end-to-end journey. And for example, that person might also want that human support.
Okay, and that's going to make all the difference, isn't it? So I guess then as such, we're seeing that staff roles are really kind of expanding to manage or to accommodate these online interactions and offer, as there's a human, the real-time personalized support, across those channels. So I guess as things continue to change and more sophisticated technology becomes more commonplace, we're going to see probably a couple of things happening. Firstly, passengers probably becoming much more reliant on their own personal tech for guidance and tasks like checking in or making changes to any bookings that they've got. And secondly, maybe that staff are going to find themselves equipped with a suite of complementary technological tools, like digital assistants and things like that, to really help them serve customers. So this sounds like it's the dawn of a massive transformation, and then the key to it all is going to be about finding this sort of balance between the technological touch and the human touch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that automation is obviously great for more routine tasks, but it really falls short in situations that require empathy or kind of any nuance, such as addressing diverse passengers, anyone with special needs, or anyone that's super angry, for example, who's experiencing a disruption. And so we want to use that technology to enhance that interaction and not replace it. And it's all about those elements that passengers really appreciate. So empathy, I understand what you're going through. I know it's not ideal. Intuition on how to deal with it. And that personal connection, and making passengers feel much more valued throughout their journey rather than a kind of impersonal kind of airport experience.
So as I guess with that it's really important that we sort of work out where those key areas of impact are going to be, and where within that experience are the moments that really matter in a customer's journey, and identifying which tasks are best suited for automation and which should remain carried out by humans, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, Ollie. And I think it's a sensitive balance, but exactly, it's all around that moments that matter. And I think that might vary by persona, for example. Different people are going to want different things at different touch points across the journey.
And that's going to prevent the airport experience from becoming impersonal, which I guess could happen with an over-reliance on automation. So, for example, check-ins and information queries can be automated, but resolving, complex issues and catering to special needs should be prioritized for personal interactions.
Exactly.
And with all this tech, I'm assuming things like, a lot more data going around. So cybersecurity is going to become absolutely critical within that experience, yeah?
Yeah, glad you mentioned it, Ollie. As with any industry, and us becoming more dependent on digital systems, as you said, kind of across the journey, inputting highly sensitive personal data, protecting those systems and the data that they handle is absolutely critical. So ensuring that airports have that technology, but also specialist and skilled staff to manage that's really important, but also applying that to the whole airport community. I know we've got it in our training at Engine, but obviously the organisation is only as strong as its weakest link. And so it takes the smallest mistake from someone to kind of become open to such a cybersecurity threat. So that kind of continuous training in cybersecurity is really important.
Yeah, we've seen, haven't we, that, I mean, unfortunately, it's often human error that results in these big breaches that occur.
Yeah, but the hackers are getting way more clever, Ollie. I mean, my mum was subject to one the other day, and luckily I was at home and quickly blocked that Lloyd's transaction. But yeah, it's
No.
As the tech becomes more advanced, so do the hackers, unfortunately.
Becomes more sophisticated. No, sure. Lucky for your mum that you were there, for sure. So it definitely seems like the airport and airline industries are really transforming into much more complex ecosystems. What other sorts of challenges do you anticipate they'll be facing?
So I think one of the challenges we're already seeing today is inconsistent adoption and application of those technologies, both within a single airport and across airports, which can then become quite confusing for passengers. Obviously, if you become used to technology and doing a process in a certain way, your brain almost acts on subconsciously. And when that technology or that process isn't consistent, it can get quite confusing and require much more kind of conscious effort throughout the experience.
So what's an example of that? Where does that happen?
So I think one example is self-service kiosks. I think if you just think about it, in most airports, it's quite commonplace, but in a lot of airports, that's not applied consistently for many reasons across different airlines, for like cost reasons, process reasons, cultural change. And so it can be really confusing for passengers when they don't know when they can or can't use them. And it often leads to if I'm not sure, I'll just go to the desk to save myself some time. I myself have had this experience recently. So I've been traveling on quite a few code share flights recently. And I just don't trust myself, Ollie. I get to that check-in hall and I've got one airline that I know I'm flying on and then another badge of an airline with a self-service kiosk. And I'm thinking, if I mess this up, my bag is going to go to Timbuktu. And every time when I just go to the desk, and it's a really good example where even people who are used to that technology prefer it. If they have doubt, they'll just go straight to the desk, which obviously impacts that flow and the efficiencies of having that technology.
God, no, yeah, totally. And if someone, a millennial such as yourself, if you can't trust the tech and you go to the desk, it's like,
I'm not sure I'm the best example, Ollie.
What help is there for the rest of us? Okay, that's really interesting. So that is going to have a massive impact, isn't it, on the efficiency. So if it doesn't work right, if fast trackers can't fast track, if fast trackers suddenly switch into, a persona who needs that more of that hand holding and that personal reassurance, and that really is going to kind of create problems. So how then do the technologies we're talking about, how do they really change and affect airport efficiency and service within that environment?
I mean, I think that goes back to your comment, Ollie, on balance. So we definitely see enhanced efficiency. There's no doubt about that. So smarter systems, sensors, IoT, AI, predicting and managing those kind of operational issues proactively. We can use that to optimize efficiency quite significantly and minimize delays, but also enhance that passenger flow.
And so you said IoT. So that's IoT. That sounds like Internet of Things. So what's this? This is all about different sensors and bits of technology.
So I think David spoke about this on a previous episode, or he may have, around obviously things like cameras, sensors. We can start to see kind of the passenger flow throughout the airport. We can actually track individuals and their movement and how quickly they're going through the airport, and therefore find out where those bottlenecks are and what we need to do to solve them.
Okay. So with all that tech kind of picking up all that stuff, a bunch of more sort of mundane tasks can be dealt with by technology, and then what are the people doing then in that respect?
Well, the best thing, Ollie, they can concentrate on service and that more like personal connection with passengers. So in the past, people tend to have been used to plug kind of the gaps or inefficiencies. For example, the the human as a signpost directing you where to go or shouting, etc. Now with better designed environments and technology, staff don't have to do that anymore. They don't have to be that functional kind of assistant, and they become much more of a brand ambassador and can provide more of a hosted experience for passengers.
Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful. That idea of kind of moving from, a human signpost to brand ambassador is so important. And so many of those frontline staff are really great at doing that. That's kind of like what they want to do. And if they can help passengers, it makes their jobs easier and they have a better experience themselves. But it's fascinating to think how these advancements will not only kind of boost efficiency, but also, as you're saying, to redefine the role of airport staff. Now, you mentioned this transition from functional assistants to brand ambassadors. How does this manifest, do you think?
So I think it's quite important to point out that it shouldn't just be limited to frontline staff in customer-facing or service roles. Airports are moving much more towards being viewed as a community. And so that falls on every employee, not just those in the customer-facing roles, to embody that commitment to service. And obviously, similar to what I said earlier, it's crucial because the airport is only as strong as its weakest link. And so, for example, you want everyone embodying that. You want your janitors, your ground handlers, your maintenance staff, who often all work for different agencies, not under kind of one, to recognise when a passenger needs help as they're walking through the airport, going to their break, for example, and to have the right knowledge, motivation, and kind of attitude to proactively support them. And so, kind of every employee being kind of part of that community, it means that we really need a standard set of behaviours, kind of measures and metrics to obviously align that behaviour.
That because that's the thought that came to me is when a passenger could turn to anybody for assistance, you need to make sure that there's a consistency in the information they're being given. And then when you spoke that everybody is being a brand ambassador, you do need to ensure that people are doing things in the way that the airport and its partners would want people to do things. So amidst this background and the context of both kind of technology and staff roles, this ongoing training is going to become absolutely crucial. But how are airports managing this?
So airports are having to invest quite heavily in training programs to keep staff up to date with all of this technological advancement, but also that side of kind of customer service. And so it not only involves technical skills, but also emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, for example, ensuring each staff member can effectively interact with a diverse range of passengers.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the interact with the passengers, but also that point we sort of spoke about earlier, it's also about equipping them, isn't it, with the right tools, and that's really key, enabling them to kind of provide the assistance they need on the move, meeting passengers' needs kind of in that moment really effectively and efficiently. And how would that be done with that? I mean, with mobile devices, stuff like that?
Yeah, so kind of whether that being a tablet or their own device, really having every staff member have that kind of access to real-time information, also CRM, so understanding what Ollie's preferences are. Is he that first-time traveller or is he the fast tracker? Language translation that we spoke about earlier. And also the ability just to communicate with other team members. For example, if there's an issue going on, they can kind of communicate across the airport really efficiently. And so on-demand and personalised service is really reliant on having that kind of those tools and that information, and that helps kind of airports meet those rising customer expectations and motivate staff to provide the best service possible.
So it's really impressive how airports are navigating these changes. But Tash, how do you see these evolving roles impacting on the overall airport environment?
So we're seeing staff able to focus on those areas that really make a real difference. So enhancing the passenger experience through those personal interactions and those specialised skills that we spoke about. And it's really important to notice that shift not only positively impacts customer service, but also increases efficiency and increases job satisfaction. And so recognising that link between employee satisfaction and customer experience, airports are really focusing on creating that supportive work environment. So providing more flexible working hours, better facilities, professional development programs, and even enhanced wellness programs, focusing on mental health support, fitness facilities. They're all part of that initiative to retain and attract that best talent. And I think that's really important when you're increasing that expectation of every staff member to become that brand ambassador.
No, of course. And, it's not just within, airlines and airports where we're hearing this, across all sorts of industries, there's an enormous body of evidence that equates the quality of your colleagues' experience to the quality of your customers' experience, and there are a lot mantras out there about take care of your staff and they'll take care of your customers. And ultimately, as we know, a great employee experience delivers a great customer experience. But it sounds like there's a whole ecosystem evolving within airports and the airline industry, and it's really about keeping everything running as efficiently as we possibly can without compromising service quality or safety. But that's no small feat. That's a massive undertaking.
Exactly, and it's not one of those things that you hit once and forget about it. It's that balance that requires ongoing attention, adaptation, and investment. And so, as we integrate more of that technology and evolve those airport roles, we just need to keep learning and adjusting and kind of working out what works. And obviously, we just want to create an airport experience that's as efficient as it is welcoming, ensuring that all passengers, regardless of their needs or reason for travel, feel valued and cared for throughout that journey.
It's fantastic. Well, I think that sums it up, doesn't it? And we're about at time. But Tash, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show, taking the time to share your experiences and thoughts on all of this. There's loads of content actually in the description of the podcast. So if you want any more information, want to get in touch with us, please go down there, click on the links. We also have the passenger experience checklist that you can download and you can use to self-assess your performance. And of course, please don't forget to like and share CXT on all your channels. Tash, thank you. It's been really great. Will you come back on the show later?
I'll think about it, Ollie. Yeah, of course I will.
Fantastic. So everybody, thanks for joining. See you again soon. Take care.